What's up guys? Do you have a broken or worn out knuckle on your RZR 1000? Well, SuperATV's got the fix with our billet aluminum knuckles, and today we're gonna show you how to get them installed. The first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and remove our rear wheels and tires. Then we're gonna go ahead and come right here to our cotter pin on our castle nut and remove it. And we can get a 27 millimeter. Go ahead and remove our axle nut. And we can grab an 18 millimeter and remove our radius arm bolt. And we can come right here, pick up, pull our lower radius arm bolt out. I like to just go ahead and shove my bolt right through my radius arm. Go ahead and remove our brake caliper. Once we have the hardware loosened, we can just go ahead and remove it. Just slide it back out of the way. We can grab a hold of our hub, slide it off. We can go ahead and pick up. And whenever you do that, you slide it back, your radius arm will come out. We can pull it out a little bit farther. We can remove our axle. And I like to just sit the axle right here on the trailing arm. That way it's not hanging down, hurting the boot. And we'll get a 15 millimeter wrench as well as 15 millimeter socket. And we're gonna go ahead and remove all of the 15 millimeters securing the knuckle to the trailing arm. And as you go, remove your hardware as well as the washers. If not, those washers will want to fall off and hit the ground, and you can just continue removing your hardware. So once you have all of your nuts off, you can go ahead and just remove your knuckle. Just like this, pull all your hardware out of it. We'll set all of it aside. And then we're gonna wanna remove our wheel bearing. We recommend that whenever you're installing these knuckles that you go ahead and put a new wheel bearing on. That way you have a spare, and you have a worn out or used wheel bearing. A lot of times it's not ideal to install a used wheel bearing, but we're going to show you both ways today. If you just put a new wheel bearing in, we'll show you how to change it, and then we'll also show you how to press a new one in. So now that we have both of our factory knuckles removed from the machine, we're going to go ahead and start removing our bearings. What we need to do first is get a pair of snap ring pliers and go ahead and remove the snap ring. So once our snap ring's removed, we're going to go ahead and get our knuckle set up in the press. Just get it all centered up where we know it's going to press through there and not damage the bearing. And then we have something here that we've made. It's going to fit right on the inner race of the bearing. That'll press it right out. So we've got our bearing pressed out now. So now we'll just take this bearing, grab one of our new SuperATV Billet knuckles. I like to get the bearing lined up center in the knuckle. We can just sit it right here on the press. Just look at it. It's one of the most crucial steps, is to make sure that you press your bearings in straight. All right, so now that we have our bearing installed into our new knuckle, we'll go ahead and grab our OEM snap ring, and we'll go ahead and reinstall it. So once we have our snap ring installed, we just want to go through, make sure that it's in the groove all the way around, make sure it's making good solid contact all the way around. Then we'll just repeat the same steps for the opposite side, OEM knuckle, as well as the SuperATV Billet knuckle. So now we're going to go ahead and install the new Billet Aluminum SuperATV Knuckles to the machine. We're going to reuse our factory hardware. You'll just want to make sure that you have the correct side. There's obviously a left and a right. Get your bolt through, get your nut on. Then you can go through and install the rest of them. Just make sure you get everything pulled up out of the way. Sometimes your brake line will be in the way a little bit. And if you are reinstalling your factory bearing or the bearing that you had installed previously to your knuckle, now's a great time to pick up one of SuperATV's bearing greasers. Go ahead and grease the bearing while you got everything apart. Makes it nice and easy. It's also something that'll save these bearings. That way you don't have to change them out as much. So we'll get our hardware started, and we're going to go through and fully tighten all of the bolts securing the knuckle to the trailing arm. And as always, if you've had these nylock nuts off on your bolts that secure the knuckle to the trailing arm more than once, you want to go ahead and replace them. This machine's brand new, never had the knuckles off of it before, so these nylocks are still good to go. Like I said, if you have taken them off before, always a great idea to replace them. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and grab a hold of the trailing arm, pull it out, get our axle slid through the bearing. So once we have our knuckle hardware tightened up, we'll just go ahead and grab our upper radius arm. We'll just pull the trailing arm out a little bit. Just get it all lined up. Slide our hardware up. Go ahead and get our nuts started. We can go ahead and grab the hub, get it lined up on the splines, the axle, and get it slid into the bearing, just like that. Make sure you reinstall your washer, and then go ahead and slide your castle nut on. And you can take your caliper, get it lined up, get your 2 caliper bolts. Again, this is all OEM hardware we're using. None of the hardware changes. So we have our brake caliper installed. Let's go ahead and fully tighten the hardware. We'll grab our lower radius arm. Slide our hardware in and go ahead and get our nuts started. And we're just going to go through, fully tighten everything. Again, I know I've said it once, I'm going to say it twice. These nylock nuts, you want to make sure you change them if you've had them removed more than one time. Same thing with the cotter pin. If it's worn out or broke, make sure you replace it. Ours is in good shape, so we're just going to go ahead and reuse it. Nothing wrong with it. Came out nice and easy. We didn't break it, nothing of that nature. Just going to go through and fully tighten our radius arm hardware. Just go through, double check all your hardware, make sure everything's tight on this side, and then repeat the same steps for the opposite side. Once you have both sides installed, go through, just double check all your hardware, make sure everything's fully tightened and back to how it was. And that's how super quick and easy it is. Install SuperATV's Billet Aluminum Knuckles on this Polaris RZR 1000. For more information on these knuckles or any of SuperATV's great products, feel free to give us a call at 855-743-3427 or check us out online at superatv.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.